welcome back to Culture is No Accident. I say welcome back because I'm hoping that many of you watching this have seen the shorter version and you were inspired and you're back for more because you want to know what you can do. And for those of you that haven't seen the shorter version, don't worry, I'm going to cover all of that one. But I'm guessing that you're here because culture is something that you're passionate about, or maybe it's now part of your roles and responsibilities at work. Either way, welcome to the session. In this session, I want to share with you my experience and my thoughts on what culture is and what it isn't, and give you some indicators or some ideas as to what people who are doing really good work in culture are doing so that you can copy and begin to build your own contribution towards moving your culture forward. Now, I called the session Culture is No Accident. The reason I did that is because, unfortunately, because culture is a relatively new addition to the corporate agenda, a lot of businesses are seeing it as a bolt-on, as another responsibility that they've got to add on to an already busy diary and burgeoning to-do list. And as such, that tends to put a distance or create a disconnect between what they're doing and this thing called culture. So they come at culture with a mindset that it's probably something that's important, but I'll get to it when I've done everything else on my list. Or that it's something that is going on elsewhere in the business and not necessarily around them. And I want to debunk that one. Now, culture's been around as long as our businesses have been around because it is a product, a result of the small but consistent actions that are taking place when two or more people get together in your business. So all of the conversations at the coffee machine, all of the meetings, they are contributing to culture. So it's alive and well, it's happening minute by minute. And because you're a member of that community that is business, you can't not contribute. So to believe that it is just a priority further down the list or that it's not present in your life is just wrong. So what I want to do is get everybody actively engaged and saying, this is something that I need to give my attention to, because without your constant attention, it's going to run away with you. Your culture doesn't sleep, so we need to give it the same amount of attention. So what happens in businesses that see it as a new addition or a bolt-on is they kind of approach it with a mindset of kind of one and done. So what that creates is they will create a list of noble and well-intended behaviours, maybe some nice motivational posters or induction literature. For good measure, they'll do an annual survey to see if they're on track towards this aspirational. But without the constant attention and the constant vigilance of everybody in the business, those posters will probably turn into unfulfilled wishes, and your annual surveys will be very unfulfilling processes for everybody involved. So what are the things that you can do right here, right now, that get you in the game? So my cultural barometer is two simple questions. Think back over your last work period, whether that be a day, a week, or a month, and answer these two questions. During that work period, what was the worst behaviour that you saw go unaddressed? And what was the best thing that you contributed that went unnoticed? Now, regardless of your answers, those two answers will give you two ends of a range, which will give you your cultural range right here and right now in your business. It's fresh as a daisy because you've just given it to me based upon the most recent measuring place. You don't have to wait for your annual survey. And regardless of how serious the bad behavior was or how good the good behavior was, these simple things are going unnoticed and unaddressed in your business. Because what you've stated in your answers is, mine is a business where X poor behavior exists and gets unaddressed, and Y brilliant behavior occurs but remains unnoticed. And that's the gap that great organisations and great cultures go after. So it doesn't matter how serious the X is or how great the Y is, so long as they have a restless attention that basically keeps focusing on those things, they will daily keep moving towards that. You see, culture is about behaviour, but let's be clear. Behaviour is just a choice. It's in the second choice that we make. And the latest research I read, and we've got no accurate number on this, is we're probably privy in our heads to about 14,000 decisions and choices every single day. Now, it stands to reason in 14,000, we're going to make some good choices and we're going to make some not so good choices. And a lot of them are going to kind of fall somewhere in between. So in and of itself, behavior is just a choice and it isn't really the culture. But your culture is propelled and sustained by the action or the inaction of those people that were present and witnessing your actions or your inactions. So really the juice of culture is in consequences. What happens to you as a result of making good choices or making not so good choices? That's the gap. Now, let's talk about the sole responsibility of leaders and managers. If you're going to effectively change your culture, then everybody's got to get in the game. So the challenge is not about managers and leaders creating new policies and procedures. It's about how can we encourage and enable more people to actively join in? How can we encourage and enable people to make better choices about their own behaviour? And when they witness the behaviour of others, how can we enable them and encourage them to step up and provide those consequences when it matters? Now, I gave 3 simple steps. It's CPR for culture. The C is about clarity, the P is for practice, and the R is for reinforcement. Now, in helping people make better choices, clarity and practice are the best ways to do that. And enabling people to step up, watching or seeing good role models, and being the recipient of reinforcement are the two that will do that. So let's go into a little bit more detail. C is for clarity. And what we need to get clarity on is clarity about behaviours. In many organisations, I'll see motivational posters with great photographs and just one word like honesty or teamwork. Now, they're great as values, but they're not behaviours. Honesty is not a behaviour, and nor is teamwork. They are what I call nominalizations. They're words that we use that actually encapsulate and title lots and lots of sub behaviours. Now, the problem in behaviour is without clarity, if you keep at that high level, it's open to people's interpretation. So, what one person might deem as honesty, another person may not. So it's worth you as a leader or a manager doing a little bit of hard graft and going into the detail about what behaviours are. In simple terms, a behaviour is something that I can see or that I can hear. So it's something that people do or something that people don't do, something that people say or something that people don't say. So what you need to do is kind of get into the detail of saying, so if honesty is something we want, what are the behaviours that will demonstrate honesty? Well, telling the truth is one, and giving your honest perspective is probably another. And there's plenty more that you can go into. Again, when we talk about teamwork, teamwork is not a behaviour, but supporting your team members when they need it is teamwork, and delivering on your commitments is teamwork. And we can see those things in action. So get out a piece of paper and really get into the detail about what are the things that we want to see and hear people doing. And there's another important thing on behaviour that I want to clarify. Many businesses are really good at telling you what they don't want you to do. Now, just imagine walking around town or walking around your business. There'll probably be lots of posters telling you not to run, telling you not to leave your desk untidy, lots of all those kind of rules. I remember there used to be a poster on every swimming pool of, don't do this, don't smoke, don't bomb, don't dive in, all of those kind of things. But that just gave me a load of ideas. So let's try that one out. If I tell you don't picture a yellow kangaroo with pink polka dots, I know straight away what's in your visual cortex, because your brain has a simple way of not doing things. It has to picture it. So let's use that, turn that on its head, and instead of telling people all the things you don't want them to do, which is actually just giving them a to-do list, tell them all the things you do want them to do. Focus on the positive things, and it gives them an indicator as to what they need to go and do without you giving them too much effort. Let's talk about practice. Role modeling. As human beings, one of our oldest skills that we're really, really good at is mimicking and copying other people, particularly in their mannerisms and their behaviours. So if we want more people to do those behaviours, then another thing besides the lists is having really good exemplars and role models. So it's incumbent in us to become our own best examples of the choices that we make and the actions that we take, so that people can emulate that and follow it. And the final thing is reinforcement. Now, there is a place for addressing poor behaviour, and that's what we call punishment. So when people do transgress, then they do need to have their attention brought to it. It doesn't mean we need to reach for the cattle prod straight away, because most of the time it's just an honest mistake. It's just something that they were busy or they were distracted. A simple redressing of pointing out that's not what we expect and this is what we do expect will get 99.9% of people to toe the line. So don't create policies about punishing people or retraining them. Just simply have the courage to say, excuse me, I noticed you do that. That's not what we do around here. We prefer this. But the thing that businesses don't do as well as they could do, and this is where the real growth will be, is in positive reinforcement. We know from behavioral science that when we do something and we get praised or we get positive reinforcement, we are a million times more likely to do that because it makes us feel good. We're slaves for feeling good. So when we get things that make us feel good, we just keep doing them. So the best thing that we can do in businesses, once we've established all of the great things that we want people to do, is notice when people do it and point it out to them, thank them, appreciate them, recognize them. All of those things will make them make an internal note to themselves. That's something that makes me feel good. It gets noticed. I feel appreciated. I'll just do more of it. So what you do is you create a tidal wave of more people doing it. And when more people notice the people to their left and their right, then it goes out of the role of the manager and the leader to give the praise. When my work colleague says that was a great job, then I get exactly the same impact. So clarity, practice, reinforcement are really critical. You see, we said at the start that culture is no accident, and because it's about behaviour, we can't not contribute. So if we're going to be contributing to it, then we might as well do it by intention. And what I hope by this video is it's giving you some of the simple things that you can do. You don't have to make time to do this. You just have to be present to do it. Remember, clarity, practice, reinforcement. Those 3 simple steps will get you in a place where you and those people around you are taking responsibility and every day making steps, making contributions to moving your culture forward.